Good morning, you guys. I'm gonna stay on for 30 minutes. I gotta take a shower. I got up early this morning and went to the gym. Got me feeling good. Got my them juices flowing. Yeah, I was real tired yesterday. Hey, Clarinetta. I actually thought the Black Barbie was gonna be the first person, Clarinetta. I went to the gym this morning early. So I didn't come on yesterday. So I'm just kind of coming on today. I hope I get the opportunity to come on today. I've been tired. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Tony, Divine Black Rose. How's everybody doing? Oh, I'm going to try to see today, you guys, if Hernandez Govan's trial is going to be streamed. I think if Stanley is up, he needs to tell us. Hey, Ebony, Gina, but I'm going to try to see today. Hey, Diane, if I don't forget, I have so much going on, I'll be forgetting. Because I'm interested in seeing how that trial is going. Hey, Joke Free, what's going to happen? Hey, Ashley. How is everybody doing? Y'all know I was, before I fell asleep last night. Hey, Alan. Thank you, Tony. Um, Before I fell off to sleep last night, I I was thinking about how important it is that we have to pray. I was looking at some stuff on Facebook, and yeah, more and more people, you know, is dealing in like witchcraft and black magic, and it's simply to control people and to try and destroy people. And I know a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in that, but that stuff is real. It talked about it in the Bible days. And so I got on here this morning to because people just want to control folks now. I wouldn't want to control people like that, but people don't want to see people win. And so they're summoning like familiar spirits and um, dark spirits to try and block people's blessings and try and toy with their destiny. And so I fell off to sleep last night. I got up this morning, I went to the gym because I was thinking about that when I went to sleep last night. I was like, Lord, in order for me to be back on top of my game, I'm talking about spiritually, physically, and all of that. I feel so good and stuff when I'm back at the gym and all of that. And going to my classes, my exercise classes. But I was like, I got up when I got back from the gym. I was like, I wanna just submit to everyone to consistently pray. I know some people don't believe in God, um, but I would advise those who don't to try God, to try God, and to start praying without ceasing. And I think all of those controlling demons, all of that bad luck, all of those things that has been suppressing them, um, there have to cease. When you get your prayer life, when you understand that there is a higher entity, there is a higher entity. I think I told you all about, hey, Harold, hey, Jessica. I think I told you all about that there is a place in Tupelo. there where it was, and I believe it is still there, that I had a cousin, and it seems like to me since then, um, she's been having some bad luck. Okay. She used to go to this village or this place down in Tupelo, Mississippi. And there were these voodoo women. And she used to go and get the she used to go to them to get this potion. Um, and she was dating a married man. Thank you, Jessica. And she was dating a married man. And she had children with him. And it's funny because my great aunt used to always talk about how he was frustrated with my cousin. And my great aunt, which is her grandmother, used to always say, he can't even stand her. He don't even like her. He would my great aunt is real funny and full of wisdom and real comical. And so he would talk to my auntie. And she said, and she would always tell my cousin, you gonna reap what you sow. You sure gonna reap what you sow. And she would say, I'm just gonna keep praying for you because you know better to be going down there getting that stuff. Yeah, that stuff is real. People want to. My point is, he would be talking to my auntie and other people about how he couldn't stand my cousin and he loved his wife. This is true. Put my right hand to the Lord on my daddy's grave. How much he loved his wife. I remember he would leave his car with her. She started having his kids and his wife. He drove his wife crazy, and they say he would cry about how hurt he was, but he just couldn't leave my cousin alone, and he couldn't understand why he couldn't leave her alone. And she's so toxic, even to this day, with her mind gone, because her mind pretty much gone now, and she's still a young woman. There's a price to pay in trying to control people, right? There's a price to pay, and I guess the lady must have had, because as time went on, she divorced my cousin's kid's daddy. This was his wife. She divorced him. She was a nurse, and the man got sick. I'm telling you, he got sick. He never got over that. Okay, he got sick, but he couldn't understand why he couldn't stand my cousin toxic, meddling with his wife. And that's because she had went down. She would go to Tupelo, and she has some strong potion on him. Y'all, there's a price to pay. I said that to say this. People are now doing things to try. They're so evil. They're wanting to try and block people's blessings instead of if I was gonna deal in witchcraft, and which I don't believe, I don't deal in stuff like that. I would be trying to go get me some damn potion to make me a millionaire. But if there was ever some to do that, but instead what people are doing is summoning familiar spirits and things of that nature to try and block people's blessings, to try and cause sickness upon people because of their evilness. They're burning candles and they're doing all types of stuff. That's why I say, y'all, it is so important to have a praying life. A prayer life is vital. Okay. No weapon formed against you or your family will ever prosper if you know how to bend your knees and look to the hills, because that's where all of your help is going to come from. Okay. And so that's why I know on here you deal in a lot of because there was a time when people on social media has made it. My grandma that's passed away now never believed in people touching your hair or having pictures of you or um or really just touching you, right? Because my grandmother, she used to talk about this, who had lived in Louisiana with her first husband. She married him when my mother was um in the second grade. This wasn't my mom's dad. My grandmother was 20 My grandmother was 20 and this man was 35 years old. So he was older, he was violent, and he was evil. Okay. And so my mom talked about how, I don't know what's making me talk about this morning. My mom talked about how when my grandmother was married, he moved my grandmama to Louisiana, to New Orleans. And I always tell my mother she should write a book. I think this is why my mother is so quiet and mild-mannered to this day. Because during this time that my grandmother, who's always been very strong-willed, a lot of people always say, you remind me so much of your grandmother. You got such a strong will. You got such a strong, like you stubborn, you strong will, your mind, all of that. So my grandmother, my mom, he moved my grandmother to Louisiana, which is where his family was at, to New Orleans. And my mama said she remembered telling my grandmother she wanted to move back to Mississippi with my great grandmother. And basically that's what my mom stayed until my grandma ended up leaving that man, because he took off, he even tried to kill her. But my mama said she remembered when they was living when she went to visit when they was in New Orleans. She remembered telling my great grandmother, I don't want to go back down there, because he had family that dealt in that was what they did. People came to that house and stuff. And so my mama said all she knows is she remembered my grandmama saying, they call my grandma, my great grandma saying, they call my grandma Jack, we got to start praying and stuff to get her away from him. But anyways, my mama says that my grandma talks about that, what his family did and stuff, the types of stuff that people came and paid, like his mama and them to make like dolls and stuff. That was even back in like the 70s, right? So I know people don't want to believe that stuff is real. People do those types of things. I'm not, I make a long story short. I'll get into a lot of the stuff that the reason my grandma got away from him and all of that. I'll talk about that another time. Some of the stuff that my mother, who has always been, that's why my mom is such a praying warrior. My mother has been like a praying warrior since she was a child. Okay. Because of when visiting my grandma, when she was caught in that, my grandma never dealt in that. Right. But he had, I remember my grandma says that what made her leave him, because he was very abusive. She was a young woman, 20 years old, he was 35, he was very abusive. And my grandmother said that what made her leave him for the last time, because my aunties are saying they couldn't understand how she could just go back to him after all the things that he did, as strong-willed as my grandmother was. And so he wanted to control a young, beautiful woman. She was so pretty, so bad that my grandma said she remembered, like, he shot her. He shot her. She just didn't die because she was trying to leave him. And so she said she remembered she couldn't understand why she was going back. And she remembered she was in the hope when she went back the last time, and his brother came and knocked on the door and didn't know that she was back with him, right? And she said his brother said something as it relates to that. Who is it that mama used? That lady that mama took you to she used to get your wife back with you. She said she knew then that she said it was like she had some type of epiphany, because she would see like his mother and his family and them would have people to come. And that's how his mother made a living, making up spells and stuff, giving it to people, and they paid her for that type of stuff. I mean, it's just really weird. And it seems weird, but it's true. And I got to thinking about, people talked about that type of stuff. God talked about that in the Bible days. And so, y'all, that's why I say it's so important, because all people want to do now. And my grandma left him and she never went back. She left him and she never went back to him that time. And he came to Memphis again to try to kill her again. Okay, because she left him for the last time. He tried to kill her again. And that's why it's so important, right? To keep praying. It's important to pray. People are into that stuff now even more than ever. Like I said, all folks want to do is control you. And I was thinking about being on here. You have people you don't really know who look at these shows. It's really easy for people to become obsessive. People are really obsessive. People are really crazy. Now, people are really controlled by some type of evil entity that I don't think that they understand. And so people look at you now and they'll come into the chat rooms and listen to you talk and just decide, I hate her. Okay. I wanna do something to her. I want her to disappear. So I said that to say this, y'all. Nothing beats prayer. Nothing beats prayer. Keep prayer keep a word on the inside of you. Try to meditate on that consistently. Um, be very cognizant of the people that are around you, even if it's your coworkers. If they're on social media, try to look at their pages if you can to see, because people tend to post what they really have going on sometimes. Try to see if they're dealing in any types of stuff. Now, I love candles because they smell good. Okay. But some of these people lighting candles and praying to some type of God. Okay. And so I think it is important to, if you can, control the type of entities and stuff that are around you. Right. Because some people are just stuck. They're just stuck because they don't understand. I wouldn't want me, myself personally, I talk about this all the time. I wouldn't want nobody if I had to get love potions and light candles and pray spells and shit over them. I was listening to a girl. I was listening to this girl because I was so into that stuff that's going on in New Orleans with the Hot Boys with Birdman and Baby and them. And so I was listening to one of the boys that was involved in this from out of New Orleans. That's a rapper. His son's mother, and she was talking about that she does spells. I was like, wow. Okay, I'm thinking I'm going over there to listen to something else, but she was talking about she do spells, and she was like, people come to her all the time for her to make those only me candles. And she was like, those only me candles that she makes, they burn them. She make them and she do something, and it makes the person want only that person. And I was like, God, that's what's going on. Like, this is why I believe people are going into trances and killing folks. You know, these people are going to get spells and stuff. We saw what happened with that situation where I did the show on the couple down in that in Georgia, where the man killed his wife, the young couple, and then turned around and killed himself after he exposed her. They was dealing in that. They was going to get spells for each other. And she was sitting up talking about, yeah, I do those only me candles. And when I do those only me candles, it makes the person only want you, only want to be around you. It sends them in a trance to only want you. Y'all, there's nothing better than prayer. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than prayer. You have to pray more than ever now because people are really weak-minded. And control to me is a weakness. And all people want to do is control you because they feel like this is what they need to do instead of allowing life to just flow, right? Instead of trusting the process. What's mine is mine. I don't have to try to control it. I don't have to try to block it. I don't have to try to stagnate it. I don't have to try to do any of that. Whatever is mine is mine. And so I don't know what made me get on here and talk about that. But I it's some weird. No, I know why. Because when I went to sleep last night, I was looking at how people are dealing in witchcrafty stuff right in our faces. And I think it would be um, extremely wise when you see people that deal in stuff like that to keep them away from around you, because you don't never know what people are praying to. You know, a lot. That's why sometimes when I watch people's actions and they get to talking about they're praying, I don't try to be funny. I ask them, "What you praying to? What are you praying to?" Because everybody that say that they're praying ain't praying to the same God that I pray to. You have to look at their actions and listen to their words. I ask them in a minute, what are you praying to? Who are you praying to? Because everybody, we be thinking, we're so naive, we thinking we all praying to the same God. Everybody ain't praying to your God. Okay. They're praying to Baal. Okay. So you have to be very, very meticulous about that. So I think it's important to put on the whole armor of God. Okay. Every single day. Pray over your family and your children and stuff before you leave home, because there are a lot of we're in a spiritual warfare. People are not fighting against evil spirits anymore. They're taking these contracts with the devil. Okay. Remember when Jesus was in the wilderness, the enemy tried to tempt him, and he told him if he would just bow down to him, okay, if he would just eat, when Jesus was trying to fast, he showed him where he'll give him all the riches, all the glory. He would give him everything. Ain't nobody raising up no standards. The Bible says when the enemy comes up against you like a flood, we're supposed to lift the standard. People are taking these contracts and covenants with the devil. That's what they're doing. And they're indulging in all of this because people are just living for now. That's why, I think a lot of folks are going through so much hell. People don't want to wait things out anymore. I understand, and I've always understood this. Okay. That's my alarm going off. Let me turn it off. I thought it would have stopped, but it's just going to go crazy. I understand. Okay. That I can speak a thing out. And by the time, if I pray and meditate on it as it relates to my life and my destiny, I can speak a thing, because I understand that words are powerful. That's why I don't let people speak everything into my life. You just this. No, you're not going to speak that up on me. Words are spells. Absolutely not. I rebuke that. That's not me. You're not going to speak that into my life. That's why I tell people to be very meticulous about what they speak out on their children, right? You're supposed to speak blessings so that they can believe that, and then those things can manifest. Okay. And so that's why I can understand that I can speak a thing out and speak it into the future. And if I walk the path that I'm supposed, I walk this thing out and follow the process, by the time I get into the future, that I've been doing it for years, it's already there waiting for me. Okay. Sometimes it's a process. You have to walk through levels. You got to go through levels to get to the blessing, right? I understand that, but I already know it's there waiting for me because I've already spoken it out. I have to get prepared for it. People don't want to prepare for anything. They want everything instantly. It's like microwave. That's why they can't keep it. Okay. And so they're taking these covenants and contracts with the devil, and they're living for now. And by the time you see them in a couple years, they're dried up, they're tired, some of them they're dead, just all types of stuff. Okay. Just all types of stuff, right? That's why that's why you all always hear me say anything that's built on sand can never last. Okay. That's why they can't keep it. It ain't built on a solid foundation because they don't want to walk out the process. They're taking these covenants, they're getting in these covenants with the devil, okay? And we already know that can't last ever, okay? They're not resisting the enemy anymore. They're indulging in everything. So just be very careful about, who you allow in your life, because sometimes they may not be dealing in these types of things, but they was just with somebody that deal in those types of things. Okay. And you might be inviting spirits that you ain't ready for, especially if you don't know how, you don't have a praying life. You're inviting spirits that you ain't even ready for into your life. Okay. Anyway, y'all, I hope that was a good word. I woke up thinking about that. When you start praying, ask God to remove any witchcrafty control demon that is disguised in your life. And meditate on that, continuously pray about that, and don't be surprised when you start seeing, because see, when you start praying it out and you start believing it and meditating on it, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. But don't be surprised when people start dropping out of your life. Don't be surprised about the folks that starts to drop out of your life. Okay, don't be surprised by it, because sometimes it's the closest people to you. Okay, it wouldn't be nothing new because people been sleeping with the enemy forever. I started back. I was interviewing this pastor, and after I finished interviewing him, he started talking about, and I know he had to be hurt. He got a big church too over in East Memphis. And he started talking about how he was trying to reconstruct his church. I was like, your church is beautiful. He said, no, I just got a divorce after 36 years. I said, wow. He said, here I am in my late 60s, and I got to try and reconstruct my life. And he said, the thing about it is, now that I think about it, he said, people tried to tell me she was tearing up my church. I had members that was leaving. He said, I didn't want to believe this. And I stayed in this for 36 years because I loved her. And he said it was a lot of things that I could have had that I lost, a lot of great members that tried to talk to me about her, but I had a covenant with my wife. Okay. He said, and I started praying. And I believe she ended up leaving him, but took half of his stuff. And he said, all I lost was money. I ain't gonna even worry about it. He said, all I lost was money. But I could tell in talking to that man was hurt. That pastor was hurt. You spend 36 years with somebody. That's a long damn time. Okay. He said, and so they had gotten counseling, and he had believed, he said, even after she left, even after he was praying and God removed her, he said, I didn't know it was a blessing. And he said another one of their spiritual leaders had to tell him, man, in her confessions to me, she never loved you. And so she was destroying, she was running people out. And that church is big. That's why I'm not going to say which church it is in East Memphis. She was running people out. He said there were members that was dedicated to my ministry. He said my wife was this church with her spirit. Okay. All because she didn't love her husband, but she loved the lifestyle that he afforded her. And then she told another spirit, he sent it again. She would tell him, in private, I never loved him. Okay. Um, Tony P says, gotta choose wisely, man or woman. Marriages change. Absolutely. You get married to people, you want your marriage and stuff to last. But I do believe that God gives you signs, just like God gives you signs in relationships. Right? God will give you signs in relationships, and a lot of times we will ignore them. Okay. When a person has a betraying spirit, when they get mad and on a light level, they'll start calling themselves, blurting out stuff that they shouldn't, to try and embarrass you. That's a person that's got a betraying spirit. One thing about it, when you truly care about somebody, even on mad day, you don't expose stuff. You just don't do that, right? That's a so um Tony says, I'm gonna say this too. Folks change, might start well, but when it change up or you see signs, you got to make the right. Yeah, you got to make the right decisions. And a lot of people just kind of choose with their hearts. They don't, After 36 years, that man saw that. He did. He said she constantly ran people up out of his church and tore his life up. And all he kept saying was, and look at me, I'm in my late 60s and I got to try to start over. That man was devastated. He said, problem is, Miss T, right, you can't just divorce after every fight. That's true. My mom was saying that to me recently. My mother was like, I be praying for you because, when I don't know, I think I've learned to protect myself so much that at the first sign of trouble, I be like, I can't have this in my life. It's going to disturb my peace. And my mom was like, in marriage, when at the first sign of trouble, you can't just decide, it depends on what it is now. But that's why you have to pray about the people you marry, though, right? You have to pray about the people you marry so you can make sure that you're marrying the right person. Because married couples have problems and they argue and stuff, but it don't mean that they're not for each other. But I mainly got on here to talk about, praying without ceasing and being very careful, because a lot of people dibble and dabble in witchcraft and potions and all of that. And those are, I think, mentally disturbed people. Okay. They don't have any issues. That's controlling. That's trying to control a person. Okay. I was looking at OG Murder. Y'all know I love OG Murder. OG Murder is funny. But he was talking about this famous rapper. Okay. The famous rapper came at him first. Y'all know they're from down there in New Orleans. And so, I mean, when you go at OG Murder, he's going to come back at you 5 times harder. And so he went in on this rapper's wife. Okay. And he exposed some stuff. I don't know how the rapper feel about it. Maybe he okay with it. But he also said, you want to know why she got you like that? She got you so gone. She Drake, because in the rapper song he said, pretty brown round driving me round or something. He said, yeah, I know she go and go and get that black, some kind of black juju or something. She go to some type of black, he called it black juju or something like that. He said, I bet you didn't know I knew that, did you? So she going to get spells to keep to oh child. Y'all, we have to pray. This is low key the issue with marriage. Once you give up them vows, you lose a bit of freedom, a bit of your freedom. Something start going wrong. You low key stuck. Your only move is counseling or divorce. I think sometimes counseling is in line, but when there's a yeah, yeah, Miss Muffin, that's exactly who it is. If it's not verbal abuse, physical abuse, um, financial abuse, if it's not abuse and any types of abuse, and you love the person, I think that it could be worked out. Pretty round brown driving me wild. Yeah. I tell you. Anyway, y'all, I gotta get out here because I gotta be at work. I gotta get out in the field today. Of course. I gotta go serve a subpoena, so I need to get out pretty early. Anyways, you guys, I really do appreciate you all. For tuning in. Make sure y'all pray without ceasing. I love you guys. I'll talk with you later.